Which one's going to go through to complete the top 4 of the first WCS tournament of 2016 to get closer to the points and closer, of course, to the money? As Hydra, a WCS champion of 2015, is going to be taking on #BlyOnFire. Joined on the desk by Nathanias, Rossi, and Kalaris. Welcome back, my friends.
Hi.
Hello. Enjoy that last game, I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I was completely blown away, to be honest.
It was a great game.
No one plays like Uthermal does, so I don't really have any good analysis for that either. Just watching them, like, oh, you can beat Protoss. That's awesome.
I feel like that's what every Terran said while watching that.
Yeah.
How do you? Wait a minute.
There's some great highlights from that. Like, game 1 was brilliant, and the Stasis Ward moment was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was just, what a treat, what a treat.
So obviously a bit disappointing for Showtime, who probably felt pretty confident coming into it, knowing what he was going to go up against, knowing that, or maybe feeling that he was the slightly better player.
Knowing he already beat Marine Lord, you know, a Terran that's probably just as good, but...
Sad for him, a round of 8 finish. Obviously, he's been performing very well last 3 tournaments, a couple of top 8s, top 4, very good for him, but not another one for him. Let's check in with the bracket one last time. As we can see here, this is the final quarterfinal left to go. Bly so far, though, if you look at the brackets, had an easy way to where he is right now in comparison to every other player. Now, finally, he's going to maybe meet his match and go up against the most difficult opponent so far this tournament. It is, of course, Hydra, who, for a lot of people, coming into this was a big tournament favorite.
I totally agree. I mean, I do not want to undersell his achievement because Bly has been very good as well over the last few months, and he keeps being good, and he keeps being better than we often give him credit for, you know, and that's kind of the blame on all of us because we never really mentioned Bly when we talk about the best Zergs in Europe, but he's really putting up results that kind of, he deserves to be in that list of best Zergs in Europe. But if you look at this bracket, you know, again, I don't want to undersell the achievement, but Moro and Probe, you know, not easy. It's never easy, but compared to Marine Lord and Lilba, for instance, what Showtime did, that's just a lot harder.
Yeah, and now he's going to meet a very difficult opponent, but hasn't had the best of the tournament, despite being where he is right now. He had a game against Namsha in the round of 32, which he almost lost, and some would say that he did lose and was lucky to find himself on the round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, we watched the end of that game together. Namshar had a phenomenal lead, and basically came down to Hydra going for, you know, the final YOLO all in, trying to win the game off one push and barely being able to break. And at that point, like, that was like the, okay, oof. You know, I almost lost this one, and then continuing to swiftly march forward, but he's still like one of the scariest players that you look at when you're like, oh, I'm going to this tournament. Oh, Hydra's going to be there?
Yeah.
Please, God, don't make me play versus this dude.
And I think most people would rate Bly at the moment a little bit above Namsha, despite Namsha being able to actually qualify for this through the European qualifier. So Bly, it being ZvZ, I mean, he could easily cause the upset.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, we have seen a couple of ZvZs this tournament where often a player that we think is a lot better than the other one actually struggling a lot, or even losing, or just like not even being able to compete with the other dude.
Yeah.
It seems like it's a very unique matchup, and it's like, yeah, you can be great in ZVP, you can be phenomenal in ZVT, but that does not make you a great ZvZ player by any means, and I think that's something that I really take away from this tournament.
And something that Bly has had for a long time, especially in Legacy of the Void, is confidence. He's overflowing with it, and he believes he really is one of the best. I mean, results will probably say that he isn't, but he believes he is.
I mean, so he should be confident. I mean, he has put a lot of work into Legacy of the Void. In the beta, he was grinding away. You can see him a lot practicing, and he does have the results to back it up for the most part.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we saw him in Nation Wars. There was a time where Bly had almost 2 all kills, and then he dropped one map, and then he's sitting in the interview, and it's like almost rather cocky, but it's still in a playful way, because his Bly is like, 11-1 is not the best, but I'll do better next time. It's like, shut up, Bly, you're 11-1. You know, all of us dream of an 11-1 record. You know?
And I mean, he has got a good record so far in this tournament. I mean, he's left group stages, he's found himself in the bracket, he's continued to win, but as mentioned, he's going up against a very difficult opponent, which leads us to predictions. And I mean, which way are we seeing this going? Clearly, I'd be surprised if anyone's going to choose Bly.
It's hard to say that Hydra's going to lose this far in the tournament. Like, if you're Hydra, you see the changes for the WCS circuit in 2016, and you are even more motivated than you were last year. You're like, okay, like, Pult didn't even come to this tournament? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
the only one guy who could stop him last year.
Yeah, this should be an easy win for me. Like, every tournament he goes to, he's going to be expecting to win. if you're Hydra, you are, the last thing you're going to feel is nervous or concerned, maybe except for that Game 5 versus Namshar. But I feel like he comes into this, he expects to win, and I kind of expect him to as well.
And the thing is, Hydra has, in the past, always got better as the tournament has gone on. I mean, there was times in WCS last year where he would lose a few games early on, but then he would get into a bracket stage and he wouldn't drop a map or something like that. So I think he probably goes into it feeling quite confident, even though his ZvZ had to play a lot of them during this tournament.
Yeah, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, we can spin it in any way we want, but we're all expecting Hydra here to advance. And that's a shame, once again, for Bly, because he is really good. He's putting up good results. But, you know, any neutral fan or any diehard StarCraft 2 fan that's looking at this analysis desk and that's going to listen to us saying that we think Bly is going to win, will laugh at us. And then if Hydra wins, we're like, why are those guys even standing there? You know, Hydra is just the big favorite going into this series.
Do you think it comes down to tricks? That, I mean, Bly is known for that type of style. Is it, you know, some weird all-ins? Is something that's going to catch, you know, Hydra off guard?
He's all about tricks.
He does weird stuff every game, but, you know, this isn't ZVT where he's going to build a hatch outside your base. This isn't ZVP where he's going to build a hatch in your base. ZvZ has always, I felt like, throughout most of the game, like, unless you're going for one of the known cheeses, like a 10-pull Baneling and Heart of the Swarm, there's not too much places where you're gonna get weird. It's kind of figured out. Like, maybe he can be a bit tricky here and there, but he has to outplay him if he wants to win. There's no, like, super easy cheese that I'm aware of in this matchup that's just gonna let you beat Hydra for free.
All right, well, let's hear some thoughts from Bly. We did manage to catch up with him yesterday after his games and what he thought yesterday went for him and how he thinks today's gonna go.
I barely win my first match, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in such a bad shape. And if I almost lose the first match, and then I played versus Kelazur, I all-in 2 times in 10 minutes. So I was like, oh, that's my game. I managed to win 2-0 in my group, go from the first place, and got kinda easy bracket, I would call it, compared to like Showtime, Marine Lord, Lilbo, and Nature. I want to beat Hydra, then I will see. If I beat Hydra, I will manage to get to the finals, I'm sure about it. Like, my ZvZ is really good right now, and Hydra is not the same shape as he was in Heart of the Swarm, where he played 10,000 games. Here, we are on the same boat, you know? And I'm pretty sure that I have, like, a good chances, like, really good chances to beat him.
Time to determine the final member of the top 4 here, with Bly going up against Hydra, who all year long, Hydra in 2015 impressed us. Can he do it here in 2016?
Yeah, Hydra's track record in WCS 2015 was amazing. We could talk all about it after we introduce these awesome players. As you guys can see, we're already into Orbital Shipyard, and on the left bottom side, we're looking at the main base of Acer's very own Bly, of course, hailing from Ukraine.
Doing very, very well for himself in Legacy of the Void so far, but one would argue that this could be one of the biggest opponents that he's had to face all year long so far, as he goes up against the blue Zerg representing Roots. It is Hydra.
Now, if you guys haven't followed WCS that closely in 2015, Hydra was the runner-up of Season 1 when we had our finals back then in France, Poitiers. He lost in the final, a very close, epic final, I have to mention, against Polt back then, 4-3 series. The second season, he was able to win it after defeating Lilbao in the final. And Season 3, maybe the most underwhelming performance, but it was still a quarterfinals. Yeah. And even at BlizzCon, he made it to the quarterfinals. So, I mean, Hydra is very good.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back to WCS Season 3, Little Bo raised himself from the dead against Hydra, and that was the most ridiculous comeback, so you can't blame Hydra too much for that one.
Hydra was up 2-0 in that series, and in game number 3, he went for an all-in, he killed the natural, and we're like, okay, this is it, you know, Hydra 3-0, and Lil Bo's like, nah, I can 4-gate on one base, and we're, you know, the entire venue in Poland back then just exploded, and that was the start of one of the most epic comebacks that I've ever seen, that I've ever witnessed in StarCraft 2, when Lil Bo turned that series around. You know, I think there's one thing that's very important we have to mention. We're talking a little bit about Bly, and like, he's crazy, and he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. It's very important to mention that Hydra has a very active coach, or at least a manager, and that is Katz, of course. And Katz is somebody that I don't know many people that watch more StarCraft 2 than Cats. Like Cats, his eyes are always open. He watches everything, and he's not the type of manager that books the flight for Hydra and says, "Good luck, buddy." You know, like come home with a check. Like no, Cats is watching these games, and Cats will always warn him as well. Like, hey, if you don't know much about that player, ask me, and he will always give him advice. And obviously, Cats knows Bly as well because Cats watches a lot of StarCraft. So Hydra is not gonna play the same way in this series as he would play. Let's say he would go up against Solar. You know, like that's when you're gonna cut corners. That's when you're gonna play a little bit risky because you know Solar is a beast, so you want to get an advantage one way or the other. Cats would have probably told the Hydra like, hey, you know, don't go too crazy in the economy early on. Make sure you know what's going on. Always scout, be active with your units, and don't be surprised in this series. And I think it's already a lot harder to pull off your playstyle when your opponent knows you so well.
And it's not like Bly could even have the surprise factor like he could have done in other years, where he was flying a little bit under the radar mostly. This, in Legacy of the Void, he's not flying under the radar at all. He is in the limelight, really, in Europe.
Excellent point there. I mean, it's not just Cats, it's not just Hydra. All of the Europeans are starting to know Bly very well. And that's why I do still find it very impressive that Bly keeps getting all these victories that I didn't think he would get. You know, in Nation-wise, he got multiple ZvZ victories. I think over Snoot it was, correct, back then?
Yeah, I think so.
And I was like, that's just awesome, man. I can't believe that Bly is like able to defeat Snoot twice here. That's very impressive. Either way, as you guys can see, so far everything was relatively standard in this ZvZ, but now Hydra made a couple more drones. He's queuing up quite a few links. The drones are a little bit later for Bly. Other than that, I guess it's still kind of even.
With the spine on the way as well here, Hydra looks to be worried, kind of, overall with what's going to actually be going on at the front. But he doesn't have speed just yet, so he can catch some free lings.
Something I've seen Bly do that's very cool in ZvZ, that I haven't really seen a whole lot of players do in ZvZ, is getting an upgraded Overlord next to the main base of his opponent, load in 4 Banelings and run those 4 Banelings into a middle line. Normally, you're always worried about Baneling run bites, but you don't expect them to show up in your main base. Hydra didn't actually see those Banes morph, so he has to be very careful if he decides to run back. At the same time, does he even have to run back over here, James?
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit dicey as those Lings will already go to work on some of these units, but plenty of Lings pop.
Baneling from the north, maybe?
Where are they? Did they come back to actually help out?
He's probably going to more of an Overlord already. Like, we've seen him do this before. He has an Evolution Chamber, correct? I thought Bly had one. Yeah, he does have one. So
in the back.
I'm expecting... Yep, he's already upgraded the Overlord. There we go. But Hydra, look at Hydra. He knows.
Yeah, he spots it, no problem. So technically, he can shut this down. Spinecrawler, though, gets breached at just the right time here by Bly. He's able to get up that ramp there very quickly with the 2 Banelings also walking past.
Kind of promising over here, I think, for Bly. One of these Banelings is not going to connect with drones, but he still has a couple of links here, so maybe Bly is able to find something to work with, but... You know, he got a queen, he got something. Probably not the damage he was really hoping for, though.
Yeah, just a kind of a slower pace, really, start to this game in comparison to some of our more cutthroat Zerg versus Zergs.
I do love this Overlord by Hydra. You know, like I was talking about it. This is something I've seen Bly do. Maybe Cats has told Hydra as well. It's like, hey, you know, get ready for this. It's not something I think is extremely common in ZvZ. You see it every now and then, but it's something I think is very strong, especially if your opponent doesn't have Overlords in position. But Hydra did.
Zerglings on the offensive here for Hydra, and back to the... the Baneling connects with so many of those Zerglings. That's a great trade-off for Bly.
But Hydra already 7 drones ahead, though, and that's nothing to scoff at. Now, there are 7 more drones on the way for Bly, and the Spire going down, while Hydra is actually dropping the Roach Warren, and you know, I don't mind Roaches against Mutalisk at all, but I do feel the Roaches either have to be a little bit quicker, or you have to do it with a much better economy, or you somehow have to try to deny that 3rd hatch. I kind of feel if your opponent is just able to go up to 3 bases and is then able to just take control of the map and dictate the pace of the game with Mutas, I kind of like the position of the Muta player then. Yeah,
it can certainly work out. You gain full map control of the position, and Roaches can't really move out too far forward, so you get in a crazy spot where you have to go for Nidus Worm play with extra queens if you're actually going to go up against a fully fleshed Spire play.
Yeah, we've seen that multiple times as well. The Spire, the Nidus is definitely not something that comes as a surprise anymore these days in ZvZ. It's almost like a very common response, like, you know, you're going Mutalisk, cool, I'm going to go for a Nidus Network since you can't kill it anyway while it's building. But there isn't a crazy amount of queens, so I don't really see Hydra doing that. I think Hydra is just going to drone up for now, and then that's a late Spire.
Yeah, I don't think he's really anticipating his opponent going Spire at this point as quickly as he has, at least.
He had an overseer in the main base, so can we take a look at Hydra's vision real quick? I'm pretty sure.
Did he spot?
Yeah, he spotted
he did spot. Okay.
Okay, I'm very surprised by this super late spy. I find it so hard to, you know, turn a Muda deficit around. Then again, Hydra did have a slightly better economy. He can take those gases a tiny bit quicker, so maybe he just feels that he's gonna be able to bank enough gas to actually overtake the Muda count, but you never want to make 10 Mudas when your opponent has 15 already.
Thing is that I think TLO exhibited this really well when he was playing against Snoot, is that a response Spire to just a fake out Spire of like 4 to 6 Mulas can be really, really good. And at the moment, these roaches will keep these units busy for now, whilst his Spire's getting up and running.
But you know, if I'm Bly right now and I pick up like 7 or 8 roaches here, I don't lose anything. It's like, this is too easy. You know, this is something that Todd and me were talking about the other day. When you're playing StarCraft 2, you know how hard it is to hold certain pushes, and when there's a push that looks like that push that you're expecting, but it's suddenly very easy to hold, it's like, you know, wait a minute, something else is going on over here. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Bly is gonna have to pick up on this. He's still down 10 workers though. And this is something I'm starting to get pretty damn concerned about, because being down 10 workers in a Muda war, that's not something you want to find yourself in for too long over.
Especially when Lings get attached to either of these bases, trying to put on some pressure. And he's actually focusing the drones over at that base.
Yeah, and the gas as well.
Extending that lead even further here. But you're right, make a good point. Focusing the gas mining drones, just in case he won't put them back on, he could try and catch up in that Muda count.
All right, that's, I think, the first Muda there. I think one Muda dropped for Hydra, another single Muda went down. Oh, one for one, so even trade. So let's take a look at those Muda counts right now, because that's pretty much the most important thing. 11 against 11, so it seems like Hydra made a pretty decent call after all. And that's right, you know, Hydra was indeed able to catch up. And he even started +1 flyer attacks already, while there is not a single upgrade. Good snipe there on that drone. Would have maybe been more awesome to let that hatch morph and then cancel or even kill it. But
him starting +1 weapons over Carapace makes me think that he didn't imagine Bly would commit more to the Muda, because normally you would go into Carapace for a Muda versus Muda war. But that being said, I mean, this can still work out great because of how much of an economic advantage he's at.
And it's very cool. We see Bly already dropping the Infestation Pit. I've seen Bly play some phenomenal ZvZs. I think one of them was against Snoot, where it was Muda against Muda at first, but he just did such a phenomenal job in transitioning into Infestors. And, you know, let's not forget Vipers. Parasitic Bomb is ridiculous against Mutalists.
Yes, it is. Still actually chasing him all the way back. Some Transfusers landed on those Mutalists, so it's very hard to tell who's going to actually win out that fight, though, here. Hydra has to be careful of reinforcements and Queens, importantly, for that defensive advantage.
Hydra has way more Mudas. Not all of them are here right now. No, don't do that. One of the Mudas misread there. Actually, Hydra is getting a much better trade. Picks up 3 Banelings there as well.
Nice.
Hydra's doing a great job. Now he's going to bring in all these Lings. I'm not sure how many Lings there are currently on the map for Bly, but this is very frustrating. Lings are going to run to the back of the natural, while Mudas are being annoying at the front.
Oh, that's a great split up here from Hydra. He's going to get tons more drones at the back. It's 61 to 49 right now. Can even get more if he wants. A few Lings pop to try and help out in the defense, but this is causing havoc. Bly has no response.
This is so cool. Like, Hydra basically gave himself a alley-oop and then slam dunked those Lings in. Like, he picked up the Banelings with the Mudas and he's like, all right, here you go, Lings. And then just ran by. This is phenomenal ZvZ by Hydra.
Yeah, very, very well done. You're totally right about those Banelings. If he doesn't snipe those out, he can't make this run by at all. Good block there by Bly, though, to try and counteract all of this aggression. But look at the supply. It's 139 to 100 that we have at the moment. Hydra's running away with this.
Yeah, maybe Bly tried to go up to Infestors just a tiny bit too quick. I mean, he does have that Infestation Pit now. He's starting to get his own Carapace, but Flyer attacks is already done. So even if he gets that upgrade, he's still not going to be even in air upgrades. There are 3 Infestors on the way, and Fungal Grove can definitely turn things around very, very quickly when it comes to Mutalisk against Mutalisk. But yeah, like you said, Hydra is kind of running away with this game. It's 4 bases, he's up 40 supply. Like, what more could you wish for?
I feel if he's going to get anything done with these Infestors, he needs Burrow with it as well, because you have to have, against a player like Hydra, you have to have the surprise factor of the Infestors, as opposed to just them randomly waddling in and hoping for the best. But he did get, what was the hatchery doing over the other side of the map? That was kind of crazy.
I mean, yeah, that's just the potential 4th base, but it's very hard to take a 4th base here, especially when you don't have map control, and Hydra is just punishing Bly in every single way possible now.
So difficult when you're this behind, considering this presence that he has.
What a phenomenal ZvZ by Hydra. I almost feel like, like you said before, he's putting up a masterclass of how to play ZvZ.
Yeah.
Your opponent has a quick Spire. That's not the end of the world, guys. Not yet, at least. He's still up 60 supply, and I think this is just going to be it, man. He's everywhere.
He really is. Even if he got the Infestation Pit as well, so even if there was any hope of transitioning on towards a Hive, it would be thwarted completely. Spire's going to go down. All the Mutalisks going to go down. The Infestors have had no answer to this whatsoever.
There's nothing anymore left for Bly. He lost 30 drones. He's probably going to end up losing his 3rd base phase over here as well. Only 57 supply remaining, and you never want to leave early when it's a tournament game, when it's the quarterfinals of a DreamHack. Like, I don't think that Bly has ever made it to the quarterfinals of a DreamHack. It's at least a very, very long time ago. This is an awesome performance already. He went far at DreamHack Winter too. He made it to the bracket stage. He lost 3-0 to Showtime, if I recall correctly.
A long, long time ago, he was in a final against Nurchio and he only lost.
Is he
Very
at
long
DreamHack?
time ago. Yes.
Okay.
Very, very long time ago, though. There you go, GG. Hydra will take the first game. And yeah, that was... He was run ragged, was Bly. He was totally run ragged. That was not easy to deal with. Hydra looking very on point. But all he's had in the bracket stage is Zerg versus Zerg all the way.
I mean, he's just such a strong mechanical player, and you could really see it here. This was not even like the best opening for him. He just got the better hand of all those minor trades that were going on, and multiple small victories will eventually allow you to get one big victory. And once again, I think that play with the Mutalisk where he sniped 3 Banelings, then he runs the Link by. That's such a key play, because if nothing happens in that phase in the game, and if Bly is just able to do his thing, gets a couple of Infestors out, then suddenly it becomes a much more complicated game. I'm not saying that like Hydra is on the losing end of it or something, but it's not that easy. You're not just going to be able to steamroll your opponent like he was actually able to do now.
That was really well done. And then now, I mean, looking at how the mid game went into, and then just Hydra was running rings around him, Bly has to kind of do some soul searching a little bit, because if you go into the next games with exactly the same mentality, it's like, well, okay, yeah, maybe I gave it my best there, but no, you kind of you have to find something extra here, otherwise Hydra's just going to do that again. Yeah,
the second map is going to be played on Prime Terraces, and that's a very unique map in ZvZ. As we can take another look at some of these highlights of game number 1. Prime Terraces, of course, a map with a lot of gold bases, and a very good chance that we'll see a lot of gold base action, especially in ZvZ. People are not afraid to immediately expand at the gold in this matchup.
Yeah, it's, I mean, clear why he ended up catching up. Buying time with his roaches, then to amass some gas behind all of this. You've got to remember, while he was poking with those roaches and making sure the Mutalisks weren't harassing him, he had 6 gases against his opponent's 4 gases because he transitioned onto the Spire very quickly. So in the end, very, very clear why Hydra was able to catch up so well.
And then you may be a couple of mutas behind, but eventually you're able to catch up and even overtake the muta count. And I also felt that maybe Bly was a tiny bit sloppy, maybe some nerves coming into play, because a couple of mutas were misrallied. He took a fight where I felt like the muta count was kind of even, but every single time he almost had a muta, he disengaged, and then Hydra put that Mutalisk to the back, and Hydra was actually able to get those finishing blows off. And once again, every muta counts so incredibly much when it's Mutalisk against Mutalisk.
All right, time to get into game number 2 then, with Hydra leading 1-0 at the moment. Up to the top left here of Prime Terraces, it will be Acer Bly as our red Zergy.
Taking a very, very quick extractor there. It's not going to waste a whole lot of time to drop that gas. The south side, of course, of Prime Terraces, we're looking at the main base of the root Zerg player. He's currently living in California. It is Hydra.
When I talked about soul searching, maybe Bly just wants to go on the aggressive and try and shut it down early, because look at how Hydra played out that mid game. That was brilliant stuff.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's kind of like a catch-22. Like, it's like you almost can't do right. At the one hand, you don't want to be too predictable, and you don't want to be the aggressor that you kind of have the reputation for. On the other hand, if you have to play a macro game against Hydra, you don't really want to do that either. So it's like, I can't win, man. Like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, all right, I'll just go do what I'll do best, and I don't care if you know this about me, I don't care if you know my reputation. But we do see it, by the way. Hydra also opening up with a spawning pool just a little bit later, just a little bit more economic. Now, I'm not a ZvZ expert, but I do know that these openings should work out very, very well for Hydra, because he's gonna have he's gonna pretty much have the same thing. He's just going to have everything of a slightly better economy, but by the time that the units of Bly will run across the map, Hydra should have caught up.
Yeah, in theory, he should be able to shut down the assault on towards the natural. Here, as he's already started himself 2 Lings. He should be able to stop the Zerglings as they go across.
I do think it's a little bit harder to maybe hold the gold than it would have been to take in the natural expand. And this is something that Bly does very often. He will always avoid overlords in the middle of the map. He always has these cute rally points for his Link. So if you are like a Zerg player and you're struggling on ladder against that one guy that you just keep on running into, and he always does the same build, you know, take a note, because Bly has a couple of very cool build orders, and especially with the execution that he brings to the show, and like avoiding overlords and stuff like that. It's something that's very cool to look at.
And the thing is, this Overlord now sees no gold, and he's like, great, he must have only taken the natural. And then when he gets there, after not seeing these lings just yet, and it's like, he hasn't taken the natural either. This is a bit annoying for him, especially since Banelin's going to be morphing in soon. That is a quick Roach Warren, though.
And that's interesting as well, because since he took the gold, it's going to take a very long time before Roaches would be able to make their way from the main base all the way down to the gold. I don't think that's very easy, so I'm very curious to see if Hydra can keep this hatchery alive or not. I assume that Bly just wants to kill this hatch. I don't see him trying to end the game here, but I think just killing the hatch,
I think he's abandoning the position completely here as Hydra. The Queen is on the ramp, he's making the spine crawler, he knows the severity of this situation, so he's not even going to bother with trying to defend that. It's too difficult against the Banelings that are there when he just has none himself.
One Baneling does get picked off immediately. That stings a little bit for Bly. It would have been awesome to keep all these Banes alive, but it's a lot of Lings working on this hatch immediately. The work count, however, is still 18 against 14, so losing a hatchery, losing 300 minerals, that's definitely not pleasant, but he has Roach Tech, he has 2 Queens on the ramp, and he's still mining more money than Bly.
Yeah, you're going to make up for it pretty quickly here, although that being said, a few of those Lings already died there to that one Baneling. It's all about the Roaches blocking off, though.
Good scout there by Bly. At least now he knows that there are Roaches. That's actually a cool play. He's going to try to surround these Roaches. He's going to be able to pick one off immediately. Love the positioning there by Hydra. He's going to try to get a few more volleys off this Roach.
Yeah, but that's a slip up there from Hydra to allow Roaches to build from that location when it's going to be very difficult for him to get down there anyway to reinforce. That was a few free Roaches.
Yep. That's pretty painful when you're on the one-base economy. 2-3 Roaches can definitely make the difference on whether or not you feel like you can march across the map and still have enough at home to defend against a counterattack.
And he is locked in for now, while behind all of this, Bly is just going to play with the Evolution Chamber on the way. We may see a drop coming in a little bit. He wants to spot that Overlord.
I love how Funka's picking up on it as well. This is just something that Bly loves to do, but Hydra also being active with his Overlord there. It really seems that Hydra is aware of some of these tricks that Bly has up his sleeve.
Oh, yeah, definitely. A few Banelings going to wait on the back.
Let's not forget that you know, these players had you know, an evening and a morning to do a little bit of research.
True.
We all know how these pros roll. They open a leisure legs like, you won a couple games against Snoot, you know, probably want to take a look at those. You click on the link and you're like, cool. Those were some really good Baneling elevator plays that you had into his main base. Well, I better be ready for that.
Definitely. And with those Zerglings just moving back now, he's trying to wind around. He knows that Overlord's there if he's been paying attention to the minimap, as the Overlord can see another Overlord. And he is going to manage to scoot around that. That's great foresight and play here by Bly.
Do you think he's going to morph them into Banes? No, it's just Lings for now.
Yeah, just run them on in there. The problem is that if you go in at just the wrong time and Roaches pop, then it's
a big investment.
Yeah.
4 Banes is definitely a big investment. This is scary, man, what Hydra has over here. I kind of feel like looking at the army supply, 30 army supply for Hydra, 16 for Bly. If he decides to march across the map, things will get very dicey. He's going to morph them into Banes after all. But Hydra's going to send another Overlord to the corner of his base, and he will spot these Banes.
Yeah, and of course he's got to be ever careful of that threat of the Lings at the front, though. So just bringing a Roach back.
If I'm Bly, I just pick up these Banes. Well, actually, Roaches are a little slow, but I still think that Hydra should be able to deal with this without losing too many drones here.
Oh, great control. Fantastic control there from Hydra overall, scouting that out.
Look at the army supply, James. 42 against 11.
Ouch.
What on earth is Bly supposed to do right now when Hydra says, like, hey, the Saints are marching in, and he's just going north right now? Like, I have no idea what Bly's supposed to do against it. He's getting Burrow. I almost feel this is like a desperation Baneling bomb Burrow.
Maybe. I mean,
he's not catching up in the Roach count, man. There's almost no way.
His Lings have to buy a ton of time, but I don't even think they can do that right now. He started 7 drones when he was at 11 army supply against 40 some, and now it's 52 against 24. Yeah. The reinforcement point is good, but it's not that good in Zerg versus Zerg. He's got to be so careful.
This is so many Roaches and quite a few Ravages over here as well. I mean, Burrow's halfway done, so he could potentially start a little bit of Roach micro. As soon as Burrow is done, that would be very nice. There's no detection here, but I'm not sure if he can even stabilize before that. He has a lot of Roaches on the way. Of course, he's rich. Losing 5-6 drones is not the end, but I think he's going to lose a lot more than 5 or 6 drones.
Yeah, only just a few Roaches against Roach Ravager here. Some Lings come in from the back to try and help this out, but there's so much damage in this army. The drones are going to get pulled off the line in desperation here for Bly to try and hold on against this. but this is pretty cut and dry. He has no units to stop this.
The army supplies are not getting closer, and that's a very, very bad sign for Bly, our Ukrainian Zerg, who had definitely a strong run so far, but he seems to be in a world of trouble against Hydra in this series, as we've barely started it, and Hydra is up 2-0.
Great game from Hydra once again, and overall it takes a lot of strong discipline to say, okay, my goal base is sacrificed. I am not going to go down there and try and defend it. I do not have the units. And the Roach Warren timing for him, considering all of that, and just being so stable about his defense was really, really strong. He has a great army to just walk across the map and kill him.
I mean, the 2 queens on the ramp, like, I really wonder how this game would have worked out. And once again, I'm no ZvZ expert, so I'm not sure how that would have worked. But what if Bly just sacrifices those banes on the queens and tries to run into the main base and actually pick off a couple of drones? Because it's safe to say that getting the hatch was just not enough in the end, you know, like we said, okay, you're getting the hatch, that's pretty cool, that's 300 minerals that are gone for Hydra, but Hydra was mining more, and during all of this, he's still mining more. He's 18 drones against 14, and it may not seem like a very big deal, but it's actually a very big deal. It's like almost 20% increase of the economy, and 1 base against 1 base, you know. How on earth are you supposed to win a fight if you have, let's say, 3 roaches and your opponent has 5? Like, doesn't matter if you're Jaedong or not, you know, like, you're not gonna out-micro your opponent if he has 2 more units.
And if that lead in drones continues for about 2.5 minutes, you're making up the cost of that hatch rate.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and even like all along from the beginning, the spawning pools earlier, the links are produced earlier, all those moments that are gone by before the fighting starts, Hydra is out-mining Bly. So Bly picking up the hatch, it's good, but it wasn't good enough. He needed more.
Sadly not. Even though he had his hatchery on the way after a little bit quicker, it's still not enough there in that position. So Bly now really up against it. Very much so, against the Hydra that looks like he kind of just has his number. Just being able to march across like this. I mean, it's really difficult to have only Roach versus Roach Hydra, unless the numbers are really, really wacky. And to be honest, he actually did a good job of swinging down here to try and cut the Ravager's damage off. But he just had nothing. Absolutely nothing.
It's an impossible hold, man. When you're on 10 army supply, your opponent is 42. This is not like cross map. What's the biggest map we can ever think of? What was that big blue map? Altazim or Terrazim or something? I don't know. There was once an extremely big map, but even then, like, this is Prime Terraces, man. It doesn't really take that long for a bunch of roaches and ravagers to run across the map. And when you're down 32 army supply in this phase in the game, he's just going to run across the map. He's going to win.
Yeah. Really cool stuff. It's actually nice to see that killer instinct, to be honest with you. Some people will sit back and just be like, nah, well, I know I've got a lead right now. It's fine. I'll keep going with it. But he just wanted to kill him. As we get into game number 3 here, Dusk Towers is our map. Up to the top right, we have our red Zerg representing Team Acer. It is Bly.
Definitely a little shaken up right now, I think. That's not the way you want to start a best of 5. It feels like it's barely started, and he's already down 0-2. On the left bottom side, we're looking at the main base of our blue Korean Zerg, representing Root for Root. It is, of course, Hydra. And we see that he's busting out a pretty early pool over here. But Bly actually not going too crazy, so I kind of like Bly's opening here against the opening of Hydra. This should work out relatively decent for Bly. It was a little bit later, and that should be good.
Yeah, and I mean, he's going to have speed well in advance, unless he's looking to go for the Baneling Nest again pretty quickly here, just to try and kind of put on some aggression himself, because obviously at the moment they don't know what either of them are doing. Kind
of surprised by this opening. I think that Hydra is just going to make 10 to 12 links, or maybe it's just 6 to 8, and then run across the map and hope that his opponent went for, you know, extremely economic opening. Hatch first, a couple more drones, a gas, and then a spawning pool, and then there is a good chance that Hydra picks up a couple of drones. But right now, I don't think he should be able to do a whole lot. This should actually work out well for Bly.
Yeah, it should be okay. He's just only making the links, just going in for speed as well, so he's not too worried about some kind of very, very aggressive opener himself with like Baneling Nest going down. But the thing is that sometimes you see really early hatcheries on this map because of that thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, the Overlord did caught a glimpse of these links running across the map. I'm not sure if he actually saw that. It was pretty hard to see. So it's very important for Bly that he keeps his links at home. He really needs to keep the links at home. And I'm kind of worried for Hydra, because I don't think that these links should be able to do a whole lot. Well, unless Bly just rallies his units across the map, which I'm not sure if something that he really wants to do.
He was planning to go on the aggression himself, but this pull being a little bit earlier does cause him some problems. Thankfully, he has Queen out in further defense, so he shouldn't be too problematic at home.
But like, how's Hydra supposed to defend at home? Like, as soon as Speed is finishing up and Bly makes a few more units, he makes a couple banelings.
Huge.
Like, Hydra needs queens on that ramp with a spine crawler behind it. If he doesn't have that, I think he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Speed is absolutely massive here because, I mean, it's just not on the way at all for Hydra. Did he even throw down a baneling? I don't think he did, right?
No, he has like... he has
no gas anyway. What am I on about?
Yeah. I mean, but that's why I said, right? Like, Hydra right now, he's like, okay, I can hold on one way and one way only. I need 2 queens on the ramp and I need a spine crawler behind it. But it also means that the spine is rather far away unless he drops a creep tumor. But he doesn't want to drop a creep tumor because he needs to have energy to transfuse. I like this for Bly a lot. I see a lot of potential here.
Lings have got a block before that queen actually gets over there, and the banelings are just about to morph in. The queen should be there in time. Very, very close here as the Lings are going to push on forwards. 2 Lings there as the stopper there for the queen to get in position just in the nick of time. And the banelings are going to get focused down here by the 2 queens. Spinecrawler is up behind this, remember.
Yeah, but it's still going to be annoying because Hydra is still going to have to defend with slow Lings in his main base. Like, yeah, you've got 2 spines at 3. Bly, you're giving him too much respect right now. Run towards... Yeah, run into the natural. There you go.
Now that you can't do anything with the spine at all.
This is great. There are 2 spines in the main, but I think this hatchery is in a world of trouble. And Bly finally catching some momentum in this series.
Yeah, definitely. Another queen has to be produced here for Hydra. He still doesn't have any gas, so he's just relying entirely on spines. Another one was built in the mineral line of the natural. This queen has got so much work ahead of her, but she's going to not be working anymore because she is going to go down.
This is extremely difficult to defend, man. When you have slow Lings and your opponent has speed Lings and banelings, like, you just kind of feel like this is an unfair battle, but I feel like I'm playing with a handicap over here. Your units are so much faster. Like, what on earth am I supposed to do? I think the only thing that Hydra can do is stabilize on one base. Just accept the fact that this hatch is going to fall. But he has no gas, like you said, James. So where are you even supposed to transition out of?
I'm not really sure at this point. I mean, he needs to... in this desperate situation, you just have to try and take a gas and try and catch up because there's no other way it's going to work.
The Spine needs to get the Banes, though. The Spine needs to get the Banes, and it does, and that means that these drones are suddenly very exposed. A lot of lava gets taken out there as well, and I think this is game 13 supply against 6 supply. Still more banelings morphing in the main base, and a Ukrainian Zerg Bly. Like I said, catching some momentum. He's going to be able to get a point on the board.
Yeah, more banelings morphing in. Zergling speed and banelings versus slow Lings and spines that aren't doing anything.
That's an unfair fight if I've ever seen one.
Just a bit. They're going to have to run around in circles, but these banelings trying to find themselves. Hydra, to be fair to him, he's doing all right splitting up these drones, but...
he's doing awesome, but it's just like sweeping leaves on a windy day. Like, you avoid this, more Lings coming, more Banes coming, it will never stop.
Yeah, and even a hatch on the way for Bly now. He knows how far he is ahead.
Yeah, like, here we go. You know, you clean up one wave, but here's the next one, and you still have nothing. You have a 1 base. He doesn't even have a 1 base economy because he's running his drones around, and he still has no answer to these banelings. Like you said, he's doing a phenomenal job, but at the end, it doesn't even matter.
It needed to be like a gas, a desperate gas, anything like that. The Queen's admittedly he's cleaned up every Ling.
He's still hanging in there. This is like insane. This is really, and actually he's still up in drones. Like, if Hydra is somehow able to survive this game, like, that will be the most ridiculous hold that I've ever seen in my life. It's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, how has he hung on this long?
What?
Running around in circles.
I mean, it's still going to be very difficult because now a couple Banes will morph in the back of his natural, and then he has to avoid those banelings again. Of course, Bly does have a second hatch. He doesn't have any drones on it. Like, Bly's actually down in economy, but Hydra has no gas.
Yeah.
He is not in a position where he can just comfortably start mining gas because he needs all the minerals he can get because he wasn't mining for so long when he was splitting his units.
Yeah, it's another big wave of Zerglings coming in. The banelings are the big problem here at the moment. The Lings are at Hydra split quite well, but that is a good connection, as they all clump up just a little bit there. And with this Queen and Spine going to go down, focus those, and that is all she wrote. GG! Bly will take the first map of his best of 5.
You know, even when you win this game, like, Bly's probably on a certain point he was wondering, how much does it take to kill this guy out there? Like, any other guy would have left already, you know, any other player would have tapped out. Most people would have already lost all their drones, and somehow he's just surviving. Of course, Bly was good enough to realize, like, well, if you have no gas, I can just keep on doing this because you've got no answer to my Banes, and there is no wall up, so I can just keep on running across the map. But still a very valiant effort there by Hydra and trying to stabilize.
Yeah, I think Hydra, in effect, even like, of course, in that game, he knows he's lost, but he's just like drawing it out for as long as possible. Because after the first 2 games, Hydra had convincing wins against Bly. If you make the loss against your opponent, all the more grueling and just draw it out.
Yeah, don't give him the momentum that he's looking for.
Exactly.
Don't make him feel that he's like in control and that he's outplaying you and that it's a sweet and easy win and clean. It's like, no, actually make him sweat a little bit. If you can make him sweat, make him sweat.
Yeah, and that's how that went. There was no way Hydra was going to win that game. They just make it a little bit taxing there for Bly. Hydra is still in a really good spot to be advancing, of course, as we're getting onto our next map. It's going to be Arena, which is an interesting map.
It is an interesting map, and at Homester Cup, there was kind of like the running joke. I think Scarlett is the one who truly started this, that apparently Bly does not lose on the Arena.
Oh, no.
It doesn't matter what matchup it is, but Bly apparently cannot lose on the Arena. Then there was somebody who said that I actually did beat Bly on the Arena. We're like, well, replay or it never happened. You know? So we'll see. This should be a map that Bly is pretty comfortable at.
Yeah, I think so. With his devious schemes in the early game, he's always quite good at it. But then again, you know, he doesn't even have to do that. He can just, because he's always done so many kind of aggressive assaults and attacks, he also knows how to defend them pretty well and what is very, very complicated to deal with them.
And I do often feel like the weirder the map, the better for Bly. Like,
yes.
Because Bly loves weird scenarios. You know, he's all about it. He's all about aggressive plays, all about trading over and over. And then when one person is like, all right, you know, we've got a minute to just take a breather right now, calm down, macro up. That's when Bly strikes again and finishes the game. So maybe this is the map that he needs. I mean, this has been a very quick series, but I didn't really expect anything less. When you have a ZvZ, when you've got Hydra and you've got Bly, like this could be a best of 7 or a best of 9 or a best of 69. It's still going to be quick. Like most of these games are going to be quick. These are not the two, like when you have TLO and Snoot, you know it's going to be a close series. You know there's a good chance we're going to look at a couple of long drawn out games. When it's Hydra against Bly, you know, don't blink or you miss a map.
Yeah, indeed. All right, let's get into it. Going to be game number 4. Up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Zerg. It is a Sublime, bringing himself back so far.
God of Arena. Going up against Root's very own Korean Zerg player, once again living in the Root house in California. It is Hydra. Looking to repeat some of that amazing success he had in 2015. You know, it's definitely important to mention how big 2015 was for Hydra. Hydra was considered to be, once again, early pool, early gas, by the way, here for Bly. But Hydra was considered to be, you know, very strong Zerg in Korea. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he was rolling in the dough, you know? Like, he wasn't making that much money. He didn't have the crazy runs in a GSL or an SSL back then or a Star League. So going from nothing or going from winning a couple games in Pro League, which is incredibly impressive, don't get me wrong, but that's not where you make the big checks. No. To suddenly having a year as in 2015, what Hydra had, suddenly he wins $30,000 in Canada. Like, that's insane, you know, that's such a big victory for someone if you've never touched that kind of money. And obviously, you know, victory tastes sweet, so he wants more of it. And he wants to repeat that awesome year he had in 2015, which he probably looks back at and is like, this was by far and away the best year of my career, but it could have been better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you're totally on the money. I mean, he looks at 2016, he's like, one of those top 8 spots from the circuit is mine.
Yes.
And at the moment, if he wins this next map, he's on the way to claim himself 450 WCS points, and $5,000 for 3rd or 4th place, at least. So all of these circuit events have got so much money in them, so much money.
Yeah, like he's probably looking at BlizzCon and then preferably with 1, 2, maybe even 3 titles, you know. DreamHack would be awesome, INM would be awesome, maybe a seasonal championship, you know. That would be the dream. Anyway, he's not there yet. Let's focus on the Arena, because once again, this is a map where Bly has an excellent track record on. He even took out MC at Homester Cup at Arena.
Ooh. Gotta be a little bit careful here about how you're going to take this engagement with the Zerglings. More reinforcing here for Hydra should make it a bit easier, especially with the Queen for the defensive advantage. But Baneling Nest versus Baneling Nest.
Interesting what Funka is showing us as well, that Hydra is getting his defensive Baneling Nest before he even starts researching speed. Maybe he will never get speed. Maybe he just wants to defend with Banelings, and then drop down the Roach Wine and go for a Roach Ravager push.
And as long as you've got the Queens in the right spots, you don't have to allow the Zerglings to do much. But he actually sacrificed quite a few Zerglings there for that.
I do like this. I like where Hydra is going with this. I'm really expecting the Roach Warren to go down any moment. He's trading 2 Banes for 2 Banes. That's pretty decent, but he needs more. He doesn't have speed, though, so I think this is going to get a little dicey. It's 1 Banelings against 2 right now. That's a good scout regardless for Bly. He might be able to damage a couple. I lost a few too many links, I think, but that 1 Bane is going to get a juicy connection.
Yeah, it could, though. Those drones were clumped up there for a moment, and actually 2 more coming in. The Zerglings are going to wrap around on the other side of this Queen here. He's got to be so careful. Actually, that was a good split off there by Hydra to only lose 3 drones during that.
But this looks awesome for Bly. There's still no Roach Warren. Once again, there is no speed. The only thing that Hydra does have this game is a couple of defensive Banelings, but not a big Baneling connection.
And all the Zerglings are going to finish off these drones. There's 10 drones gone down already here. It's 14 drones to 6. And he can't catch up to these Zerglings. Not having speed is a catastrophic position here for Hydra.
Hashtag Bly on fire, at least on the arena so far, because he's in a phenomenal position now. It's 14 drones against 5. He can just keep on rallying Lings and Banes across the map. And with the superior economy he has, this should never slip away. This should be Bly's game. We should be heading to game 5 here. What is this series, man?
I don't know. This is going to be hashtag Bly on arena eventually. If he has such a command of this map, he's taking out more drones. Still no speed to help this out. Banelings morphing in, and that's it. GG. Bly ties up the series. We go on to a game number 5.
Bly's bringing it back, and it doesn't matter whether you're Hydra or not right now. You're starting to get a little bit nervous. He's like quarter-final of a foreign event, up 2-0. My opponent comes back 2-2. I've been here before, man. Like, not again.
Oh my god, Bly. Cannot believe. And the thing is, though, is that there is a trend here in this series. Bly is getting the better of these early games, and Hydra is getting better of the mid-game. So if Bly sticks to this recipe of just putting on the pressure and keeping it going, maybe he can win this out.
For sure. Game number 5 is going to be played on Runes of Ceres, and it's worth mentioning that the vetoes of these 2 players were Central Protocol and Lateral Crest. Well, what do those 2 maps have in common? They're 4-player maps.
Yes.
What does Runes of Ceres have in common with that? It's a 4-player map, and it's the only 4-player map we had in this entire best of 5. So this is kind of like, this also tells me that both players, you know, we often say like, okay, the one player that vetoes a 4-player map, he's very confident, and the person that vetoes the 2-player maps, he wants to roll the dice a little bit, you know, he wants to gamble. It seems like neither player wants to gamble, but now they're maybe forced to gamble a little bit, or are they confident enough in, let's just play relatively safe, let's not go too crazy, because, you know, I've won 2 maps anyway. Both of them can look at it like that.
Yeah, and I think overall, if you look at how all of this has gone, I was saying that, you know, Hydra is getting better of the mid-games and things like that. Technically, this 4-player map could lend a favor to him if it, you know, kind of works out, whereas Bly doesn't want to really gamble early on. I mean, he is a gambler, let's be honest. He can gamble quite heavily, but let's see if he manages to do it in the very last game. Once again, we see these moves by Bly.
I still do think that like Hydra's idea here was to just get defense Banes and then try to go for Roaches and Ravagers, which I think if you stabilize one time, it's very strong. You can just march across the map through that little alley and you're going to win. I think that was his idea. I can't imagine a player like Hydra forgetting like Zergling speed. Like I don't think that would ever be the case here. But you know, Bly just didn't give him the time for it, and the first connections were good enough. And you also said it, you know, Hydra lost a couple, maybe a few links too many when he was trying to pick up those Banes that were morphing on the low ground. Either way, I 100% agree with you when it comes back to Runes of Ceres, big map, especially if it's cross map. If this comes to a scenario where both players have 3 bases, they're stabilized, and we're on lay attack, and they've got 55, 60 drones, like, yeah, I still favor Hydra because we saw that on Orbital. He's so good in making stuff happen. And there's not one fight going on when you're watching like mid-game Hydra. There's like 2, 3, sometimes 4 fights. There's links everywhere. You don't even know where they're coming from. You know, they just run by you. It's like Roadrunner or something. But will it even get to that? Runes of Ceres, of course, not a map where it's even easy to hold your natural. Like, look at that ramp. Like, have we ever seen a bigger ramp other than that crazy map that nobody liked until everybody started cannon rushing on it in the GSL, and then they vetoed it. I also forgot the name, but it doesn't matter.
We know which one you mean for sure when it comes to that one. Okay, right. So spawning down at the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Zerg. Bringing it back to 2-2. It is a Sublime. 1 game away from the full recovery. That is quite a feat at the moment.
Yeah, especially against Hydra. That would be a phenomenal performance and just a great achievement or accomplishment by Bly. But he's not there yet. He has to take 1 more map of this very scary Korean Zerg player representing Root. It is Hydra. It's starting to look a little tense. I can't blame him.
wanting to repeat that success of 2015. It's all important to get a good start here at the beginning of the year as well. There's a lot of points to be banked up at each circuit event. First place is 1,000 points.
Cool, by the way. Yes, you're spot on. There's a lot of money up for grabs. First place finisher gets $16,000. Runner-up gets $8,000. Making it into the semifinals guarantees you $5,000. And just being in the quarterfinals like these players are already gives them $2,000. And something that I really love about this new circuit that we have is that the entire top 16 got paid. You lost in the round of 16. Normally you're angry. You're like, oh, I've had it. Now you still get $1,000 for your efforts. That's just great motivation for all of these guys, man. Like, I remember when I was 18 and I won $2,000 one time. Do you know, I felt on top of the world. Like, I mean, ever since then, I felt on top of the world. I'm still celebrating that victory, James. Like, it's amazing to win money playing video games, and it's so cool that you don't have to be a semi-finalist anymore.
I remember one time I told Todd that I actually won $25 playing StarCraft right at the very beginning. He was like, what, really? That's my entire pro gaming winnings of never being a pro gamer, but winning some small tournament online.
And it's still awesome. It doesn't really matter, but that's a cool thing about this circuit. Either way, something that happened in this game, Hydra wanted to go hedge first, but then he's like, hey, we're vertical positions over here. Indeed, those overlords cross each other like Funka showed us, and that drone just turned around immediately. Hydra's like, all right, not on these positions. I'm not going to go hedge first here.
Gotta be careful for sure. That gives Bly a little bit of an advantage because he was so decisive about his building comparison. And just send some drones down. But Baneling Nest already starts here for Hydra. I get the feeling it's for a bit more security than anything.
I mean, like, you don't want to play ZvZ, especially not on this map with that super wide ramp into the natural without a Baneling Nest. Like, sometimes you see players try to do it, but that's just gambling. That's just like being cheesy in the super economic, greedy way. And some people say, that's not cheese then. Well, it's economic greed, you know. Call it however you want. It's just not safe. You cannot survive. If your opponent picks up on the fact, if he runs one Ling into your base and he's like, what? You skipped the Baneling Nest? Well, let's queue up 14 Lings right now. I'll morph 8 of them into Banes, and then the other Lings that I have, they'll just finish the game. So you can't do that.
And for now, even just losing a Ling there. Bly still with small advantages, but in terms of the drones, not so much.
I love it here again, by the way. The Evo Chamber once again for Bly, and Ruins of Saras is the map where I saw him have this success with all those Banes. And this is so early. The Overlord is not spotting it just yet. Oh my god, if Bly lands these 4 Banelings into the main base and he connects with 7, 8 drones,
but wait,
it would be a catastrophe for Hydra.
There's some morphing for Hydra as well on the other side of the map, unbelievable.
Yeah, but they have to wiggle their way in. It's so much harder.
It is much harder, you're right.
He hasn't seen it yet.
Oh my god. If he actually...
One Bane is not scary. This could be a disaster, an absolute disaster for Hydra. No. I know you're nervous, Bly, but they have to go into the main.
They can't jump, I'm sorry, buddy. Get those in there.
That would be him. You gotta go for it, mate.
He's waiting to throw him off guard there, down towards the bottom.
Bly, this could be his ticket to the semi-finals.
It's Big Bane. Oh my god, he's gonna get 7 workers.
And that's not it anymore.
Is he gonna get any more?
No. 9.
9 workers in total. That puts Bly significantly ahead at the moment. 34 to 27. What a move.
Patience is a virtue. All series long, Bly was looking for this opportunity. He tried and he tried. Obviously, Hydra got very unfortunate there. I mean, that Overlord was inches away from spotting the other Overlord, but
this is ambitious.
Yeah. What? No, Hydra.
That was not good.
Whoa. Imagine if that Bane would have finished now and splashed over the 7 Lings. That would have been the ultimate.
Wait, no. Run away.
Sick. Man, Bly is actually on fire right now, but let's look at let's not get ahead of ourselves. It's 29 drones against 36. That is good, but if I have faith in anybody being able to make a comeback, as long as this game drags out, it has to be Hydra.
Yeah, it's not the biggest deficit that you have to come back from for sure.
Against Namchar, he was also on the back end of things.
He's actually going to try and drop this in again. And actually, the Ling left, so he doesn't have vision there right now.
That's actually a little bit sloppy by Hydra. He already lost so many drones. You have to have a Ling on patrol there. It's half a supply, you know, just do it.
Okay, he should have those selected actually overall. We'll see if he's gonna shut that down. More Lings actually sent towards the front. That was a good trade from Bly.
All these trades are awesome.
He does see this. Okay, so he's gonna be able to shut it down. Ooh. Okay, so he didn't lose too many links from that. Sends him in, sees the layer instantly. That's a great pickup.
Yep, Bly also knows that his layer is quite a bit quicker. Roach Warren is going to go down right now. He drops 2 Spine Crawlers.
Scared.
And he goes up to a Spy. So he's getting the Roach, he's getting double Spine. So obviously that gives me the idea he doesn't really want to use his Roach Warren. Otherwise you wouldn't build those Spine Crawlers.
Yeah, and Link's going up. If they saw that that level of spining, then he kind of gets a good idea, but he sees the Spire anyway. Brilliant run by.
Yep, what an absolutely phenomenal scout there. I kind of wonder, what does Hydra want to do right now? How does Hydra read into this? Does he want to drop a Spire? This time he doesn't have a quicker third base. Well, he's going to try to get one, but he doesn't have a quicker 5th and 6th gas.
I was going to say, if I know Bly, you just make loads of roaches now and push. I mean, like, that would be a very, very strong move, considering he spotted the Spire.
Is he going to cancel it?
He might want to try and counter it. I don't even mind if he doesn't cancel it. I mean, if he just went with a load of roaches, that would be really powerful. But he needs to get out. Needs a few more overlords to get that churning if he wants to do it.
Bly is definitely creating sort of an uncomfortable position for himself, though, because he's investing into a lot of things. Nice network for Bly. This game has just gone mental and nuts. This is so weird and crazy. Everything at once. But Hydra's mining slightly more money. Bly has invested in spines. Did he cancel some of those spines, by the way?
No. Left them all finished.
It's hard to play Roach against Roach when your opponent caught up economically and you made 4 spines, though. Like 400 minerals, 4 drones. Now he's making Mudas as well.
If he was going to use this Nidus, where would he use it? I mean, what vision does he have around this? At the front, and is that it? No, at the back as well?
This is really sick. I have no idea what's going on.
This is going to be crazy. If you want to deal with a Nidus Worm, if you know that it's coming, you just get a kind of like a lot of Ravagers and then blow it up with the Corrosive Bile instantly, if that's going to be the case. But you've got to blow it up the second it pops.
6 Queens is not extremely intimidating. I mean, 6 Queens is a lot for 8 Mutalisk, obviously. But I think a drone through this Nidus network or Nidus canal and try to get at least 1 Spore Crawl on the other side of the map would be very, very important for Hydra. I think he needs to try to get 1 Spore.
Ravager's going to be morphing in as well here. He has some Banelings over at the back. They can blow up that Nidus if they actually pay attention, and they will kill that off. Very, very important, as he's going to actually have the Ravagers at the front with the spines as well. He needs to kill off the Queens. They're going to transfuse there for a moment, but killing those off is so important for those Mutas to do damage.
The spines are suddenly extremely useful, even though not all of them are fighting at once. He's repositioning a little bit. A couple of these Mutas taking a lot of damage. Oh my god, the corrosive bile!
He can't move them. They're off creep. There's no way they have any mobility whatsoever here for the Queens, and this is all going in Bly's favor at the moment at the front.
Yep. I mean, Hydra does still have 3 bases. He does still have more roaches, but he doesn't really have anything else. Like, yeah, there's finally that drone. I really think he should have got that drone such a long time ago and drop a creep tumor immediately. That would have maybe even kept a queen or 2 alive as well.
Jeez, Bly really keeping himself alive. A few Ravagers morphing in for Hydra at the front, though. And
so sick.
This could get a bit scary, because if those Ravagers are able to kill off some of those spines, that will leave the front quite open.
What a tense game 5 here. Bly is actually making a very bold call here to send his Mutalisk across the map in one of the most crucial phases of the game. Good job there by Hydra, keeping all of those Ravagers alive. That's very important.
Hydra's ground army is really powerful at the moment. If he could get the 3rd and then have his own 3rd at the back at home after doing something.
Is there a Spore in the natural?
Is he working on a layer?
Oh, no Spore in the natural. If Bly would have seen that. That's so sick.
I can't believe he's working on a layer of all things. He really wants to just kill the whole thing off? The repositioning of the Spore?
I mean, he's halfway done.
Back. What is this?
He has to be very careful. He's landing a couple of decent corrosive bile shots. Like, if Bly holds here, he's in an absolutely phenomenal position, and it seems like he's going to hold, James.
Also, corrosive biles on towards the Queens as well. He's going to push this away. Bly is making the hold at the back, and the Mutalisks are going to work on some of the Overlords as well. Hydra is going to get supply block. The Nidus is going to get pushed away, and he's going to take this.
Hashtag Bly on fire, being down 0-2 in the quarterfinals against Hydra. Hydra's having the deja vu. He's like, no, not again. This can't be happening to me again, but I think it is. This is a phenomenal position right now for Bly.
His army's huge. His army is huge. The one thing he has going against him is that he doesn't have a 3rd base. So if he wants to actually do something with this army, he's got to go pretty soon.
But Hydra has a 3rd base, but he has 37 drones. Like, you know, does it really matter at the moment? And he can't even defend all 3 locations. He can barely defend, I think, 1 location. I mean, it's not over yet.
No, not at all.
It just seems like such a tough hold right now for Hydra. Like, what is the right play? What do you do right now if of your Hydra.
Thankfully, he's getting some defensive queens extra to actually hold on against this if it were to come along, because the Mutalisks are a present threat, and also, you know, banking up as much energy for transfusers is also going to help quite a lot in that defense. But holding the third is so important for Hydra at this point.
That's his saving grace. That's at least, okay, I have something if I mine out my main, which is going to happen very, very soon, of course, because we're 10 minutes into the game.
Look how supply blocked he is, though, compared to the position Bly is in. Bly can amass an amazing army if he is not careful and just go for the win. It's going to be really difficult for Hydra to hold this next attack.
I know, extremely difficult. I'm not sure what he's supposed to do. Bly is marching across the map right now. 72 army supply against 45. Road speed about to finish up for him as well. I think Hydra is, I mean, maybe the best corrosive balls in the world. Maybe that can make the difference for Hydra, but it's going to have to be magical.
This is going to be difficult. Very, very difficult indeed. As the Hydra's, Mutalisk going on towards Hydra's queens. It's always difficult when it's called Hydra sometimes. And even killing those off and just getting great trades here. If there's not enough queens to actually hold on against this all at the same time, he gets easy trades.
Bly is just getting further and further ahead. More overlords going down as well. Maybe another supply block soon for Hydra. He picked off all these queens. Like, what is the anti-air? I think there's like one sport crawl in the third base maybe. But this one queen, there's only one queen remaining.
Unless Hydra finds a miracle right now, Bly is going to be advancing on. And there it is, GG!
Wow.
Bly takes it, look at him! He is beside himself. He cannot believe what goes on in that game. And what a way to advance on against Hydra, a WCS champion.
Stunning performance by Bly. Really, that's definitely the biggest success he's had in a long time in his SC2 career.
Wow.
Awesome, being down 0-2 against potentially the scariest player in this tournament. At least, you know, one of the 5 scariest players in this tournament. Apollo said it, Nate said it. This is a guy you don't want to play. You want to avoid him. And, you know, we looked at Bly's run, relatively easy up to this point. Well, not anymore. He just took out Hydra. There were a couple of people on Twitter that said, like, DreamHack, Hydra's going to win like 5 of them this year. Like, oh, so exciting. Well, apparently not. Hydra is eliminated.
Jeez, and what a way to be eliminated. Cannot believe, especially how dominant Hydra looked in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I know, this looked like,
I can't believe.
You're like, okay, you know, like, all right, good run, Bly, you know, congratulations with the $2,000 and pack it up. And we'll see you at the next event. Hopefully you won't run into Hydra, but you know, the games got weird. It all starts, you know, on Dusk Towers, where Hydra goes for the 12th win. And you know, you look back at this series and you ask yourself, like, Hydra, you were playing so extremely well. Was it necessary for you to open up with the 12th pool?
Good question.
Was it necessary to create that weird game where you're trying to expand and you do not have gas? And you know, this is the beginning of the end. You know, we often talk about momentum. It's a real thing in StarCraft 2 series, and all series long. I said it before the series even starts. Bly loves loading banelings into the main base, and all series long he was looking for openings. He didn't get it. It seemed like Hydra was ready for it. The one time Hydra misses it by an inch, like it was 1 pixel basically, absolutely 1 pixel, and the Overlord would have seen it. This time he didn't see it, and Bly created an economic lead for himself and played an awesome game after that.
And this engagement is the best opportunity for Ravagers to get their damage out. Your almost entire body of army comprised of queens that can't move. Have we actually seen Ravagers be that cost-effective in this matchup, this tournament, aside from killing all those queens in that fight? I don't think so.
It was awesome. And also what a sick call by Bly. Drew, like halfway through that push, he's like, I'm going to send my Mutalisks to the other side of the map because I'm pretty sure I'm holding over here. And it's like, you look at his build and you just see everything going on. It's like 4 spines, Spire, Roach 1, no, I'm actually making Roaches. No, I'm still making Mutalisks. This is like, we're looking at it. We've got the production tab open and it's like, I don't even get it, and obviously I don't think Hydra really got it. Like, he's like, what's going on over here? You know, what are you really doing? He probably did not expect those roaches, and whether or not they were safety roaches, well, Smix can ask Bly all about it as soon as he's on the couch. I think he is on the couch, so let's just go over to Smix City and the Skyline of Nerds, where we have Bly, the semi-finalist of DreamHack Leipzig.
Thank you very much, Rotterdam. Bly, I mean, I think hashtag Bly on fire. There's really nothing else to be said. I'm sure Twitter's going crazy, spamming it as well. I mean, you've already made it to the semifinals. You made it to the top 8 at the Legacy of the Void Championship. It's just been up and up for you these past few months. You must feel ecstatic.
Yeah, for sure. I was practicing so much recently, like past 3 months. I was practicing like about 8 hours a day at least. 8 hours a day at least, and it's when it's paying off, it's such a great feeling. And yeah, definitely Blind on Fire right now.
No, seriously. And I mean, everyone knows that your ZvZ is known for being very, very aggressive. In fact, I spoke with Hydra before the series, and I was like, so how do you feel about going up against Bly? You know, a lot of people say that he's a very strong player, and he was like, you know, he's just going to be aggressive. He's going to be cheesy. But the thing is, he was not prepared, it seemed. I mean, he said that, but on the other hand, his play he just seemed completely caught off guard, especially in games 3 and 4. And then 5 was just absolutely crazy. We'll get to that in just a second. But, I mean, how do you go from being down 2-0 in a best-of-5 series and somehow come back? Like, what was your mentality there?
Actually, before the start of the series, I was like trying to get my first map to win it. And from here, I would try to blind counter him like I did in game 3 and 4. But after first 2 games go off to him, I was kind of, oh my gosh, I was really down. I cannot explain this feeling. I was desperate, I would say. And then I just did what I'm doing best. I just all in. I decided like, okay, if you are ready for my all in, let's try it. And it works 3 times in a row.
If people expect you to be so aggressive and they are prepared for it, how do you still manage to make it work anyway? Like, what's your secret?
Because I'm doing it better than others.
That's a very good answer, actually.
That's pretty straightforward there, Todd.
That 5th game, though, so much happened. You know,
yeah.
we were talking about it here on the couch, and we were like, okay, well, you did a lot of damage with the Banelings, but then the Nidus looked very scary, and it looked like you were preparing for a big attack, and I think you misread the situation, you know, with your 3rd base going up and then getting cancelled against just a few links. It was just crazy. So what was going through your mind from the moment you killed a lot of drones with the Banelings?
I was, oh yeah, am I gonna win it after 0-2? It was already inside of me like, oh yeah, oh really? I can do it, I can manage it. Okay, don't make mistakes, please don't make mistakes.
And then is that when you just drop the 4 spines? Prepare for anything that comes?
Just anything. I saw roaches coming to me, I saw no layer yet, even morphine, so I was kind of scared of some kind of mass roach attack because I saw like 7x on natural. So I was like, okay, I have to defend this, and maybe then I have muta in time and I win. I was expecting go Nidus into my main base. I left Baneling here, and then Nidus go somewhere else. I made a mistake. Really, when you feel like you're ahead and you just have to keep being ahead and then you win, the moment of scariness when Nidus is just oh my gosh, like I just cannot describe it.
You will play against Violet.
Easy peasy.
Whoa, wait, why do you say easy peasy? You know he just 3-0 Serral.
He hasn't lost a map in his tournament.
I think he's 13-0.
And?
Okay, wow.
Do you have a
I want Hydra. Hydra should win the whole tournament.
Okay,
do you have a message for Violet?
Bro, I'm sorry.
All right, but let's just put this into perspective. I mean, obviously you defeated Hydra, very, very strong player. In fact, most would say that he had a much stronger year by far over Violet. So I understand that beating Hydra gives you confidence, but to play a little bit of devil's advocate here, Hydra actually beat Namshar 3-2 in a pretty close series. In fact, he was down in the 5th map rather, whereas with Violet, he's been completely unstoppable all tournament. He hasn't dropped a single map, so does not give you any worries at all?
Namshar is really good at ZvZ. It's his best matchup, and he's like, I'm often losing to Namshar. So after that, yeah, he might give some few maps to Namshar. Even he might lose here, but Violet played versus Elazer, he's playing kind of weird in ZvZ. He's playing so greedy that Violet was able to just kill him with some all-ins. And Serral, actually, this kid is really strong. But
this kid is really strong.
yeah, but I didn't saw the games, but like Serral told me what he was doing, and he was like, all in, all in, all in. I said, oh, my school? Yeah.
All right, well, you said that Violet will be easy. On the other side of the bracket, we do have Drogo and Euthermal, and both of these players have shown some really impressive series throughout the whole tournament. And so, okay, you said Violet's easy, so you're already thinking to the finals clearly, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so then who do you think will face you in the finals?
Drogo.
Drogo?
Yeah.
All right, so how do you think you'll do against Drogo?
It's 50-50, I guess. Drogo is really strong Protoss player, even though my ZVP is like the best matchup right now, like way above others. Drogo is like the best Protoss in Europe right now. Like every time I'm playing with him in ladder, it's really hard. It's like I feel the pressure every moment, and I know why. I understand why he's in round of 4.
All right then, and last but not least, obviously you're now in the top 4. You're already looking to the grand finals, if not the championship. I mean, how does it feel? You're so close. You're like the closest you've been since 2012, where you were in the grand finals of another event. So close to a championship of the first event of 2016. I mean, how does all of this feel?
F yeah.
Hashtag Blind on Fire is gonna trend maybe finally.
Oh sure, yeah.
I'm sure it's already trending.
It is, yeah.
I want to ask one last question, and it's not, I guess, about this tournament as well. The new format for WCS this year has been announced, and this is the first big tournament here that's taking place here with this, with the stricter region log. How are you liking it so far?
I love it. It's good. I have to beat like only 2 Koreans to win the whole tournament.
He's already beat 1.
Yeah.
Now he has just
Usually
one more
you have to
face.
beat 5, so. Yeah,
Or more.
Or more.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you're-
usually at this stage it'd be all Korean flags. Let's be real.
Yes.
And me.
Oh yeah, of course.
So you're looking forward to a year of
I want to get
strong
to
tournaments
BlizzCon.
like this? You think you
I
can
wanna-
consistently get top 4?
I'm not sure about it, but I want to get to BlizzCon, and that's why I'm practicing so much, because the possibility to get to BlizzCon and to get like best results ever is higher than from
ever before.
Broodlord Infestor time.
Oh, really?
It was close here too, yeah.
That's a dark era to remember for a lot of other races other than Zerg, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, congratulations again on making it to the top 4. It's absolutely amazing, and best of luck in your series against Violet. I guess we'll find out if it's as easy as you say it will be. But before we get to that series, of course, we have our first semi-final match that'll happen before that. It'll be Drogo versus Euthermal, so stay tuned.